we took this thing of like bit of a downer. We'd had to cut this trip short, and we took something as simple as some batteries dying, and then came out with something that is now been listened to by hundreds of thousands of people, and it's kind of is fulfilling to have out in the world. You think that's why songwriting is so fantastic. You can, an hour earlier we didn't have it, and an hour later we had this song.
Yeah.
That's why I love songwriting.
Changed how you're feeling somehow. When I'm all drained out, you left me to clean up the pain.
Welcome to the Musician Secrets podcast. Today I have Isaac Tyler with me. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. How are you?
Yeah, doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, I'm good. With everything going on, I'm all right, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're crazy times. I mean, as good as it can be at the moment, right? But
for sure, yeah.
it's really cool because I had George Holliday on here a month ago now.
Oh, sweet! Have you talked to George?
Yeah, I've had him on here.
Nice. I've not picked up on that. I didn't know you had. Oh, amazing! That's cool.
No. Yeah, I had him. His episode came out probably like 3 or 4 weeks ago now. So it's
oh, sweet! I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah. So I found him through a playlist. So I found Free. I found on the playlist, and I'm like, this is an awesome song. So I reached out to George and to you as well. George was a little bit faster with the replies I had him on first, but eventually, we got to chat a little bit as well. And now I'm excited that you're on here, so I get to have two sides of the story. So I got to have
amazing
George's perspective, and now I get to have you on here. So I'm very stoked that
awesome. Oh, that's cool.
You're talking with me now. For those that don't know who you are, where are you from? Tell us your story, what got you into songwriting, and basically to where you are now.
Awesome. So I'm 24 from the UK. I live in the north of England, and I'm a singer and a songwriter. And I'd say I've been writing and performing and a singer for 5 or 6 years. Been writing songs, kind of properly writing songs for maybe 4 of those years. Took me a couple of years. I did that normal thing of gigging, covers, playing your pub shows and stuff, and then kind of wrote songs on the side. But I kind of said I seriously started taking songwriting a serious thing, and I think started getting better at it about 4 years ago. And just been writing songs ever since, performing, writing for myself, other people, and now 24. Not particularly busy at the moment for obvious reasons, but still doing little bits. Obviously not as much as I'd like to do, because one of my main things that I've done the last couple of years is sessions with people, so being in rooms with people, something I love doing. And obviously at the moment not really doable, but that's kind of a very brief history of me, I guess.
Yeah, that's what was the moment where you said, what, music is what I want to do? Because it's not a very cool thing to like. It's really, when I told everyone, I'm going to England, I'm going to study popular music performance, I'm going to be a songwriter and all that, everyone, like, the responses were like, what are you going to do with a music degree? Like, why aren't you getting a safe job? That crap, right? It's not,
go get a real job, eh?
Yeah, get a real job. Like, what the heck are you doing in your life, basically? So, it's not like a safe job to have, whatever that means. So what was the moment for you where you had that turning point? Is like, okay, I need to do this.
I think music and performing and being creative and writing has always been something I've just loved. It's always just been something I've just loved to do from a really young age, whether that was just like performing or singing or acting or writing creative stories and stuff, just anything kind of creative and that side of things. So it's always been something I've just loved to do. And then it's when I started gigging when I was younger, kind of like 16, 17, and really started to just fell in love with it, really. And then it was kind of like I didn't even need to think about it. It wasn't like a switch. I went, right, this is something I want to do. It kind of just like, well, yeah, of course. It's just, it was kind of just, yeah. But I feel you, like it's especially with I think I see that the songwriting and being a singer are kind of quite, obviously they're the same thing because I'm a singer-songwriter, but I think they're quite different things as well. I think the songwriting's even more of a like you can get up on a stage and sing, right? And if you can sing, you can sing, but songwriting's this weird, strange thing where sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and a lot of the time you can't put your finger on why that worked and that didn't, and it's such a strange kind of dark art sometimes with songwriting, to a point where I can kind of see why some people on the outside who don't write songs just go, what you do what? And it's just like you just like but I think it's just always kind of been a thing. I've always loved being creative and making creative things, and so it's just always been something I've loved to do for since I can remember, really, being creative.
That's cool. Yeah, sometimes sometimes it's a switch that goes off. Sometimes it's just a gradual thing. It just depends. That's why I just like to ask, because you know, some people are like, oh, it's just obvious that I'm gonna make music for the rest of my life. They never had that barrier of, people doubting that, right? So it's just been, just something they've always wanted to do. But so that's
I have to admit, I think I've been very lucky in a sense, because I do, obviously, yourself being a creative and a songwriter, a singer, you're friends with lots of other like-minded people because you meet them through work and stuff, and hearing of it, you said yourself you had some people kind of a bit when you go and study songwriting, kind of just not understanding it, and I have to admit, I've been incredibly lucky, I think, throughout my life to really not come up against that too much in my family's very supportive of it and the creators themselves. Got a lot of creative friends and stuff, and I've been really lucky because I know people do come up against that kind of like, all right, do that for 2 years and then go get a real job, that just absolutely dismissing of it. And I've been very lucky in the sense I've never really had to come up against that, and I'm very fortunate with that, because I know a lot of people do come up against that, and I can imagine that makes it even harder, but then also maybe fuels an extra bit of determination, right? If people say you can't do it, then you want to prove them wrong. So
exactly.
But I have been lucky in a sense I've never really had people really kind of been like, really dismissive of it, which has been nice, because I know a lot of people do have that. So
it definitely made me want to go like, I'll show you what I'm gonna do with that.
Right, I bet. And I think sometimes it's I'm sure it still wasn't a nice thing to experience, people kind of completely dismissing your aspirations and your dreams, but like you said, give you that fire sometimes. Go, right, I'll show you then. I'll go and do it, and then see me in 3 years. I'll see in a bit. Like
exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. My parents were always super supportive. Like they were the ones. They were like, if you want to do that, we'll support you. If this is really something you want to do and want to take seriously, then we stand 100% behind you. But it's just everything kind of out of that zone, all those extended people trying to look in, it just showed me how little they knew about the music industry and about music in general. And anyways, but that's kind of cool if you could just do what you love without having constantly explain why.
It's I do know that there's plenty of people that don't have that luxury of constantly getting questioned why, and constantly have to validate their aspirations, and it's like, you shouldn't have to validate your aspirations to anyone. If you want to do it, you'll do it. It's but it's a strange one, isn't it? I think creative industries have that more than anything, where kind of people consume music every day, whether it's through listening to a song or a movie, or they walk into a shop and there's music playing. Everything is intrinsic with music, yet so many people don't understand and respect the process of it. And it's like they'll completely consume it without even thinking where it's come from, but then go, oh, songwriter, get a proper job. It's like, but you listen to music. Exactly. you can't it's lots of people are quite naive, I think, to the industry, I think.
Let's talk a little bit about the process that the work that goes into a song. I found George Holliday and you through Young and Free, and got to then listen to your stuff as well. and All Drained Out, that just, how long has it been out? It hasn't been out that long. It's like your new.
That will be, so Young and Free was the last one me and George released together. That was mid 2020. So All Drained Out has been out, I think it's about a year. Next month, I think. So it's been out around just under a year as All Drained Out.
Yeah, it's been doing great. Like, I've kind of followed the journey and everything. So, and All Drained Out and Young and Free were the ones you both wrote and probably produced as well with George Holliday, right?
Yeah, so George has been like a collaborator of mine for years. We became friends writing music, and we became kind of best friends, really. And he, a couple of years ago, set a challenge, and he basically describing this challenge is quite short. I know to people it sounds like, what? Basically, what did he converted a bus into like a camper and a studio.
Yep.
So a studio on wheels, and then had this idea to go and set off for 6 months around Europe, meeting up with followers and people who enjoyed his music and his content, and write music with them, create music with them along the way. And because me and him were kind of we're really good friends, and we collaborate, like, I joined for a lot of that trip. So there's a lot of songs at the beginning that me and him wrote together. So All Drained Out's one of them, Young and Free. We wrote just me and him right at the start. Obviously I'm the vocalist on them as well. Then I joined him for much of the trip around Europe, where we would meet up with different people every week and write songs with them, and which was just like, we've always said this, me and George together, I'm amazed at how well it went. Because when we look back at it, we go, there was so much room for it not to go well. And I can honestly say, every musician, every session, we came out with something really good and valuable and decent. I was just like, looking back, I was like, you could do that another 10 times and I don't think you'd hit that sweet spot. But we just did. And it's really nice because All Drained Out is a song that me and George wrote together right at the beginning of the trip. And we wrote it in an evening together. And I did the vocals that night. And then we just knew it was a good track, and just put it on the shelf for time to release. And that song's really, it's the most attention I've ever had for a song, and it's the most attention George's ever had for a song as well. And we released it right at the beginning of the lockdown, really, which was quite. I think that probably helps. I think everyone was sat inside on Spotify probably, but that the response, I've never quite had a track that's had like a response like that, and to actually get something back from a track that much, and that's been lovely, and a new kind of chapter for my songwriting to really get validation for it, which has been great. So yeah, that's a bit of history, I guess, in the context of some of the songs that are out there, with kind of me as a songwriter. Sorry, I don't even know if I answered your question, and I just completely went off.
What was the process like? Like, did you write the song first? Because it's a beautiful ballad where it's I assume George is playing the keys, probably.
George playing piano, yeah.
Yeah, and then you did the vocals. So that's pretty much it, right? It's just keys and vocals. I didn't really hear
nothing else,
anything else, and it's
no,
just amazing. Like, the lyrics are great. Like, it just gets you, just grabs you and pulls you into the story that you're telling. So did you write, was it more of a co-writing, or did you come in with the idea, or did George play the piano and you just kind of see where it went, or how did that happen, like from 0 to where it is now?
It was completely so basically, to give a bit of context to what the song was written about, we've been staying on his bus down in Brighton. We were doing some songwriting for some people, and the batteries on his bus kept going flat, and it was the middle of winter, and we kept having to sleep in like -2, and it was freezing. We had to cut this trip short, and we came back up north, and we were just sat, and he's just started playing piano. And then we were talking about the batteries, that they were all drained out. And we were a bit kind of like, we were a bit kind of annoyed that we'd had to cut this trip short, and we'd had some meetings that we missed and stuff, and some sessions. So it was like, I think it was just in the evening. I think we just had dinner or something, and he started playing piano. And then honestly, it was one of them that was like kind of 20 minutes and it was written. And he did the keys, and I kind of did the melodies, and we worked together on the melodies, and then wrote the lyrics, and then I did the vocal, and that was it when it was done. But the essence of it is about some batteries on a bus. that's the conception of it, I guess, which is always funny to say, but it's true.
That is so cool. That is so cool. I would have never thought when you listen to the song, it's about a dead Anthony. No way.
I don't know if it kind of I'm always conflicted whether to tell people about, because it's like then when people listen to it, they go just about some, and it's not just about some bus batches. Obviously, there are other things in there, but that was kind of the inspiration for it.
Yeah.
But I think in itself, that is why songwriting is so good, right? Because we took this thing of like bit of a downer. We'd have to cut this trip short, and we took something as simple as some batteries dying, and then came out with something that is now been listened to by hundreds of thousands of people, and it's kind of is fulfilling to have out in the world. You think that's why songwriting is so fantastic. You can, an hour earlier we didn't have it, and an hour later we had the song.
Yeah.
That's why I love songwriting.
That's cool. That's my favorite part about just songwriting, is that you never know what's going to happen. You never know when you're going to be writing the next song. You never know when that inspiration is going to hit you, and when, where, how, and every song is different. Like I never wrote one song twice, like the same way twice. Never happened to me. Like it's always different, and I love stories like that, because you can see how little stuff like that can just trigger something, and then you're like, boom, their inspiration hits, and that's when you need to like write it down. You need to go and do it, because I've made the mistakes a couple of times that I can kick myself in the butt for. That is, I'd be like, oh, I'll write it later, I'll remember. Write it later. Right? And that's the worst thing that you can do, because whenever that hits, you need to be ready. You need to be just record it or somehow get it down on a piece of paper, and that it needs to happen now and not.
Absolutely, I cannot agree with that more. I think I'm the exact. I've times I've gone, oh well, I've got that melody idea, I'll record it down later, and it's like, there's just something when your brain's doing that and it's coming up, you need to listen to it, don't you, and kind of just go, nope, something good's happening, just stop doing what you're doing and write it. But again, I mean, what a strange art songwriting is for that. It's I don't know about yourself, but I mean, I've had sometimes it's just you just sometimes don't come out with things. Sometimes it just isn't clicking, and I think there are ways to get around that, and things, and I think it's different for everyone, but I've certainly learned tricks and ways to kind of try help flesh stuff out if I'm not quite feeling, but sometimes you just ain't feeling it. And that can be really frustrating as well. I've definitely had that before, where you're always trying too hard then. I don't know if you would agree with that. Sometimes you need to actually I'll just write a song then. I don't know if you ever do that, like I sometimes have, where I'm trying to find out the next great idea, and then soon as I should just write a song. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, just write it.
Just get it out.
Just get it out. That's what. Just get it out.
No, I think my problem is that I thought it was normal that songs just come to you. They just have that inspiration, and it happens all the time, and you write it down and you record it and you have a hit song, and it's just easy, it just comes. And that's not what happens. That is like maybe one time out of 100 that happens.
Sure.
Right? And it's not the norm. And I thought, only if you're super talented that happens to you. Not the case. It's not the case. It does happen, and those are the good songs, and for those you need to be ready. But if you're doing this on a regular basis, you can't always wait for that inspiration to come. So you kind of, like you said, you kind of need to know some tricks to kind of trigger that that emotional kind of outburst
for sure.
Kind of right. So I don't know if there are a couple of tricks that you use to kind of get those creative pieces going, or
I think I've always had especially say if I've got into like a session, so if I'm just writing by myself, then I guess there's there's less pressure to produce because you kind of go, well, I'll just come back to this later or something. But say if like you're in a session,
Yeah.
you're either writing for yourself or someone else, there's an onus on you to produce something, right? I mean, you're doing it as your job. And that's when it can get even more nerve-wracking. So I think I've always had it is if you can always have something on the back burner to bring in, just almost like a fail-safe. It doesn't have to be the most amazing thing, but something that if it's just not, there's not anything quite happening in the room, you can go, well, I've just got this idea, I'll just throw this out here. And just having something on the back burner is always good.
Yeah.
And that's helped in times and kind of saved the odd session, I'm sure. Just having something kicking about. I don't know about you, do you have any kind of tips and tricks you use?
Yeah. No, I have like a little booklet just on my phone. And so whenever I have an idea or then or just a song title, sometimes that's just enough. That's just enough. Like if you're looking, because I took like a little songwriting crash course, and it basically says exactly how to cure writer's block is literally just to keep looking out for those. You'll be watching a movie and there'll be 2 or 3 words in there, and that'll be a song title, and that song title will then inspire you to write a song. You'll be in a conversation, and this happened to me so many times where I have to, like, in the middle of a conversation, be like, give me a minute, and I'll get my phone and I'll type in this, and it basically, it sounds like a song, right?
Yeah.
So just give me a minute. Boom, that can be a song title, right? So
and sometimes it can be in front of you and you're not even seeing it, and it's just been out to, for sure. But
especially in conversations, you'll have so many ideas then, because you're now specifically looking for them. You're not just kind of waiting and sitting for inspiration to hit. Now you're being active and you're constantly looking. You're going to listen to a song and there'll be a phrase in there that you're like, ooh, I like that. Boom, inspiration. You'll watch a movie, boom, inspiration. You'll have a conversation, boom, inspiration. Like whatever it is, an advert, it can come from anywhere. So if you're like specifically looking for those, that's kind of not completely cured it, but at least I'll have like my phone. So if I'm stuck, I'm like, okay, let's just look up something here. Boom. 9 times out of 10, there'll be something in there.
It's almost like, not like you said, you're not waiting for creativity to just pour down, and it's kind of almost getting a few steps ahead of it and having a few things in your arsenal to try help that. Because like you said, it's not 9 out of 10 times, it's not just that you sat there and then this idea just presents itself. You know,
exactly.
A lot of the time, it might be work you've put in 3 weeks before by just going, oh, that and that. No, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of many, but that's probably the most effective. I think it's very simple. You just kind of have to train that muscle, just kind of train your brain to be like, sounds like a song.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, it kind of ruins you because you're just constantly there, like, sounds like a song. Sounds like a song.
You're just talking to your friends all the time. You're like, oh, hang on, just 2 minutes. Let me tell you. Here we go. Another song, is it?
I love my friends, but yeah, it happens.
Well, that's what you got. It's what you got to do, isn't it? I mean, it's it's what you got to do, and again, it's that another tiny aspect, I guess, of why being a songwriting creative can feel sometimes a bit like people just don't understand, because on the outside, it's like kind of like, well, were you writing that? But it's like, trust me, just trust me, just let me write this down. I'll 2 minutes, all right. It's yeah. But that's cool. I think having stuff in your back pocket, in your arsenal, to just use is incredibly valuable. Yeah.
I 100% agree. What would you say makes a good song for you?
What a question. I think if it makes you feel something, whatever that is, like whether if it's a ballad, if it makes you feel a sense of belonging to something, or it speaks to you in some way, or it just makes you cry, or if it's on the other side, if it's an upbeat song, if it makes you want to dance or go out and spend time with your friends, not the moment, lockdown, but after. I think as long as it makes you feel something and evoke some sort of emotion, whether that's whatever, happiness, sadness, nostalgia, anything. And I think every song has the ability to do that. And I think that drives from being written from some place of like realness, whatever that is. So some honesty at the start of that process, and then makes that song so much more relevant or appealing to people further down the line, you know? So I think as long as it makes you feel something, I think that's a good song.
Yeah, totally agree, 100%. I always say, if you don't feel it, don't play it. That's my only rule. And that's that.
Yeah.
What's the point of a song if you can't feel or connect with it, right?
Exactly. That is, I love it. What's the point of it then? Yeah, if it doesn't make you feel something, what's the point of it? Yeah, I totally, because that's what music is. Yeah. Music is there to make you feel. Yeah.
I totally agree. What do you think is, like, how important do you think is your attitude when you're, in general, when you're writing or as an artist, like your mindset about, you know, creating something?
I think it's really important to not get too far ahead of the process. I think it's really easy to say you're in a session, you're sitting down to write a song and you've got a melody, and before you've even written any sort of a structure, you're already thinking, well, how would this sound with that and that? And I think it's good to try and map out a song. I think a lot of the time, I don't know about yourself, as soon as I start writing, I can already start to hear how I think it should sound.
Yeah.
But going, well, will people like this? And is that relatable enough? And, or is that, you know, I think just it's important not to get too far ahead and try think too many, you know, will people like this? Is this relevant? Is this one step at a time? I think that's a way to help kind of that mindset style of like, write the song first and then worry about everything else after.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, pleasing people or feeling like you're judged, whatever. I think just write the song and then you can do what you want with that song. You can never show it to a single person if you don't want. But just write it. Write it.
It seems so simple. Like, now that you say,
yeah, no,
write the dang thing. Just write it.
But it's so true, and it's so it's so easy to say though, isn't it? Right? And you could say it 1,000 times, but it's so much harder when you're in then that position when you like it's so much easier said than done. But I think it is right. That's the truth. But it's putting that to practice can be hard.
No, I mean, that's the thing, is like, I think that when we kind of write it out, we think everyone's going to see it when.
Yeah.
That's like, you can get it out, just write it. Who cares if it's a good or a bad song? That's totally objective to the listener. You don't know how it's going to go until you put it out there, right? And, you know, it's like, just write it and then decide what you're going to do with it. Maybe no one. Maybe you're never going to release it. Maybe it's just a song for you. Maybe it's just a song for... You
might never play it to a single human being. You might be the only one who ever hears that. But that in itself, what a wonderful thing that is in itself. You know, just and take pride in that there's a song out there that you've written with, and you're the only one who's ever heard it, who's ever going to hear it. That's nice in itself. You know, take joy and pleasure in that. That's cool. And then go on to the next one.
It's the simple things, right? It's sometimes it's just simple as that.
I know, but it's easy, like I say, it's easy to say. It's much harder to put into practice. I know, but yeah.
No, I totally get it. I've never heard anyone say that before, so it's but it's so simple. What do you think is like the biggest misconception in the music industry, or when it comes to songwriting?
I'm not sure. It's a good question. The biggest misconception. I think maybe people think it's much more like linear than it is. Like you're either like, well, you're a performer and you do this, or you're a songwriter and you do this. And I think maybe people probably have an idea what a producer is or a songwriter, where actually in practice, those lines are much more blurred in the industry.
Yeah.
Rolls out that, you know, you have people who produce, who write, who perform, who MD, and they'll do everything and they've got fingers in pies everywhere. I think maybe that's one do you think? What do you think the biggest kind of misconceptions?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I don't even know where to start, but I think I mean, one is this all or nothing mentality where you're like either next Beyonce or the next Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish or whatnot, or you're this poor starving musician. Like, it's so extreme, and there's so much room in between, and there's so many, like George Holliday. There's just so get creative in the way you're making your music, and you don't need to be signed in order to make it, whatever that is.
I mean, I think it's the biggest like portion of musicians out of every musician are kind of middle musicians, right, who make a living off music. That is the biggest portion of musicians. Like those top tier, if you like, kind of people who have made it are like the 1%. And then there's a lot of plenty of people who are maybe just starting out, but actually the biggest portion are people who are just making a living off music. In any number of ways. And there's so many ways to do that in music, is to make money.
I mean, there's so many options. Like, you can be a session musician, you can be a producer, you can be a songwriter, you can just do mastering, you can just do sync licensing for like TV. Like I said, music is everywhere. It's so hard not to make music, like not to make music, because it's everywhere. When you're working out, when you're grocery shopping, when you're
everywhere.
It's just there. It's everywhere. And you want to tell me I can't make money with it? Like,
I know. I just think as well, like, music just makes everything better. Like,
yes.
Like, imagine being in a restaurant and there's no music on. It's weird. It's weird. You can hear everyone's conversation. Obviously, don't want the music blasting, but but yeah, in a restaurant, it just creates an atmosphere, and it creates kind of like a layer of sound. TV, movies, if they didn't have music, they'd be well strange. It'd just be pieces of film without music. The music creates the emotion. And I can think of very little situations that music doesn't make better. I'm sure there are some, but I can't think of many.
That's true. We just have to start to rethink, because through Apple, that kind of, or Spotify, these streaming platforms, where you can have all your songs in a pocket. Now you don't buy a CD anymore, right? So people are like, oh no, we can't make money. No, you just have to kind of rethink that situation. Like, yes, you might not make money off of a CD, which you can still sell CDs. They still sell, but it's not like 20 years ago where everyone would just collect CDs. But there's definitely a different way of making money in the
for sure.
And I think it's this really narrow-minded, I need to get signed, I need to get signed, I need to get signed, I need to get signed. Like, they just have like that tunnel vision. And
that's the only way they see is the feasible path. And that, I think it's probably, I think maybe one thing is that was back like 15, 20 years ago, that really was how you were gonna make any money. But like you said, it isn't these days. And I don't. What's your opinion on kind of Spotify and streaming platforms? What's kind of your overall opinion on them?
I think they're good to get to know new people and get to like know new. For me as a music listener, it's awesome. For you as a musician, it's probably not as beneficial as paid, but like I said, it's very good for just to get your music out there and get heard, especially on Spotify. I switched from iTunes to Spotify because iTunes is very biased. They only promote like the big artists. At least that's how I felt. So Spotify really suggests musicians that are similar to my sound, and not how many followers they have and how many streams. Like, that's not. But on iTunes, that's what they do. They only suggest the most popular ones. I'm like, I already know these. I want new people. Like, I want new people.
I've heard of the Beatles.
Yeah. I know who Ed Sheeran is. I knew that's so that's where Spotify, kind of has that's why I switched personally. But I have both, but my main thing I go to is always Spotify. That's like
Spotify
I listen to. So as a private person, I think that would be the best thing. For a musician, from a musician perspective, if you want to really be getting paid and stuff, probably not the best platform. If you really want to get into like the nitty gritty and marketing stuff, which is like completely new thing, the magic word is funnel. You know what a funnel is?
As in funneling people to?
Yeah, so it's basically, it looks like a website, but it's not. So basically, when, let's say you're selling your CD, right? Or you give away your music for free because it's for free already out there, right? People can listen to it for free on Spotify. So why would you ask people to buy it? So this is what you would do. You, in the first funnel page, which looks like a website, you would sell your music for free. So give me your email, which is important. Get an email. Get people's emails to follow up with them. So that basically they're exchanging their email for your music. Now that you have your email, you can follow up with them and start building a relationship with them there.
Sure.
Now, once they click on send me the song or order now, whatnot, now the next website page, which is the funnel, he's like, hey, awesome, you bought my new single, Young and Free. I have a new album coming out or is already out called so and so. So now they can buy that album for £9 or for whatever you want to sell. So now that's called, in marketing we call it an upsell. And then once they buy that, you can then upsell them for merch or whatever you want to do. So now you're actually making money, which you're not. Spotify is not made to make you money. Spotify is made to get listeners. That's it. So if you're trying to get paid as a musician from Spotify, forget it. That's the wrong way.
It's just not the one, is it? No.
Yeah. So that's my man, that was kind of a long tangent on that one, but
it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like the industry's almost then adapted, right, to that. They've gone, right, well, this platform isn't particularly making money, but it's doing this. So we go out and we fish for people. You reel them in, and then you sell them stuff. You know,
yeah. I think you have to adapt.
I think there's this kind of argument with artists and songwriters and stuff about streaming platforms not paying much, and I totally see on one side why artists and writers and producers feel they should be paid more, but I'm also of another opinion of, so for example, All Drained Out that me and George released, as of, I think the last time we got it's on about 430,000 streams. Now we've not made tons of money off that. We've done all right. We would have not sold 430,000 copies if it was a single, right?
Yeah.
No chance.
Exactly.
There was just no way that would have happened.
Yeah.
So we, in turn, Spotify has put us in front of people that we just wouldn't have been able to listen to our music. Totally. And we've made a bit of money, not a lot, but it's because we're not selling CDs at £10 because we'd have sold 100. You know, so it's a bit of give and take, and I think, and then like you said, you can use then the audience you've gained from those streams, and if they really like music, guide them to be able to buy maybe gig tickets or merch, or so I think it's a bit of give and take, and I think it's a bit of a soundbite, I think, with some songwriters and artists to just bash Spotify. Oh, they just don't pay enough. But you think, but it's not quite as simple as that.
Yeah, that's oh my gosh, I could go into music marketing forever because oh gosh. But anyways, that's what I realized that I needed to learn once I finished my music degree. I'm like, oh, okay, how do I get my music heard? So I had to kind of learn about music marketing. But if that's, if you really want to get your music out there, then there's an amazing audio book. It's called The 4D Songwriter. And
4D songwriter,
so the 4-dimensional songwriter, and it's this cool Australian guy, and he talks exactly about that. He's like, if you try to fight that I want to get paid, for that, what you're creating, which I get it. It's like telling people to sell a free guitar, right? It's for some people see the value in that, but for through the entire streaming, everything has changed. And so if you fight that wave, you're just going to hurt yourself. And he took the example,
you'll just be left behind.
You'll be behind. And he took the example from what's the band, this really famous band, is it a metal band? Crap, I forgot. I just had it in my head, and then as I was,
if it's a metal band, I probably can't help you. But
no, I'm not into metal bands, so that's why I probably said. But everyone knows the band. If you hear the name, you'd know them for sure. And basically, at the time when this entire streaming thing was happening, everyone was kind of downloading music, kind of, on the. It wasn't allowed, but you just still did it anyway.
Sure.
That's kind of the era where this was in, and so Napster was really popular. So they sued Napster for giving away basically their music for free, and they won. And they sued Napster for like, I think 20 million or 15 million or something like that. So they made back a lot of money, exactly from the thought, this is our music, this is our property, we should be paid for that. That means we didn't sell those many albums because you've been giving it away for free, right? But then they won the court, but then they had so many fans bashing them, and they burned their CDs. They're like, I'm done. Like, if this is what, they had so many fans hate on them, burn their CDs, and like swearing that they're never gonna listen to music again. So this is like the shift that we're going. So if you're actually trying to make money off of your free music, it's not going to happen. You need to find different ways of, Spotify is great to have 450,000 people listening to your stuff. Like you said, you would have never been able to sell that. But you got people listening, you got them into the door. And now, like, here I am. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I need to have it on the podcast. I'm going to put it on my playlist now, and that's
what it is. It's just them steps. And totally agree. It might not, sometimes that isn't the nicest thing for people to hear, right? It's kind of like, but it sounds a bit harsh, but it is what it is. Yeah. Like it is what it is, and you either have to adapt to that and try to work your way around that. And if you, like you say, if you fight it, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. You've got to work ways around it and see the positives and address the other side. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, it hit me like it was like a punch in the face. I'm like, I'm putting in all this work, and then you tell me to put it, But the cool thing is, like, all the modern marketing is telling you to do exactly that. It's like, take something, your most valuable thing, and give it away for free. That's why sometimes when you scroll through Instagram, they'll give away a book for free, or they'll give away an online course for free, or something really valuable that you want for free. So that gets you in the front door, because then once they got your email, now they can follow up. Now they can build a connection with you. They can get in touch. And that's more valuable. Email is more valuable than the 10 songs you gave away. So everyone's catching on that. So then once you give something away for free, now you upsell them on something. That can be merch, that can be a VIP ticket for your next show, which, right now is really, but even if you're filming that backstage and walk them through the process, like those, if you have any video recordings of you on the bus, that's a gold mine. Like, I would pay for that to be like, I would love to be like on the, behind the scenes of how that song happened and watch those videos and stuff like that. You could upsell those as well. And I think we just we underestimate that. What we think is normal to us, like the process of writing the song, for someone else that's valuable. Be like, oh, but how, the recordings from maybe you guys being on the bus and writing that would be valuable to someone else. But yeah, I've been rambling for too much. This is actually for you to talk.
Oh no, honestly, I love just having to sit down and chatting about stuff. I love it. I could do it all day, so do not worry about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, just get me talking about music and marketing and all that. I'll never shut up. But anyways, what I'm trying to say, we need to start to adapt and trying to kind of hold on to the old ways of things, you know, because if people are like, it's always been like that and it's always going to be like this and it's never going to change, I'm like, welcome to the 21st century where nothing stays the same.
And it might not be nice, and it might not be nice here, but it is the truth. That is the way it is, unfortunately, for some people, but it is. Yeah.
Then I'm gonna ask you one last question before I let you go, because like the internet is all weird and kind of I'm not keeping up, but that's just how it is with technology and Zoom. But
I think what time is it? Everyone's on the internet at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, probably.
Everyone's just turned Netflix on now, so it's like, come on,
exactly.
Give us a rest.
We're geeking up on music, and so are but what advice would you give someone that's kind of struggling with their songwriting or to put out music and is kind of new to all this like songwriting thing?
I think there's a few things. I think just do it is the main one. Is you're your own worst enemy with overthinking and is it going to be good enough and I don't know, or comparing yourself to the songwriters. That's a huge one. That's one of the worst things you can do because you don't know how long they've been doing it. They could have complete, do not compare, don't judge yourself, just do it. Write the songs. And I think most people, I think everyone has an already quite a good kind of quality control in their own head. I think a lot, no matter if you've been writing songs for a year or 10 years, you'll know if it's a good song a lot of the time. Or if it's got something good, you'll know and trust that instinct. But I think just do it, and then also I think just find what you love about music and songs, and really look at that and think, why do I love that particular song or that style, and then use that. Assess what makes you feel in music, whether it's sadness or happiness, and then. And use that. But I think main thing, just do it. Just do it. Write the songs, just do it. And you'll get better as well. That's another one. The more you write, the better you get. It's sometimes it's a bit of a weird when you think, well, if I just keep writing them, you'll get better. And also I think last one is write with other people. That is I became so much of a better writer when I started writing with other people. Just learning things and being in a room and being out of vibe with other people is huge. Like I much prefer writing songs with other people than by myself now. So find other songwriters as well.
No, that's really good advice. That's a perfect way to end it. That's great. Like that's I agree. I totally agree with that. So, I just want to acknowledge you for putting out great music, for pushing through, and we're just all trying to figure things out and trying to do our best here. And
we're all on this mad little journey together, right? So.
So that's why I appreciate people like you that are really just upfront and honest and just so easy to go. You just hang out with and talk and just being creative, and like you said, just do it, just get it out. So thank you for putting out awesome music. Like your songs are already on my playlist for sure. So
thank you
so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks.
Where can people find you? Where is like the best place to check you out?
Music wise, Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere, every streaming site. Social media wise, Instagram's my main one. Although when you did message me to come on the podcast, your DM sat in my indirects for about 3 months and I didn't see it. So need to check that random folder with all the message requests more. But Instagram's kind of the social media where I kind of affiliate myself with the most. So that would be where to check my social media, Instagram. But apart from that, Spotify, all the streaming platforms, Isaac Tyler. All my stuff's there.
Is it Isaac Tyler Music or just Isaac Tyler?
So my social medias are Isaac Tyler Music, and then obviously the streaming and the artist stuff's just Isaac Tyler. And that's the one.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll link everything up so people will have
Thank you.
finding you. So I didn't have any problem finding you on Spotify either. iTunes was
good.
That's good. And plus, I'll link everything up. So if there's anything you want to listen to, all the music, all this Instagram is all linked up. So it'll, all good. So thank you so much for being on here.
Spot on. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. It's nice to I haven't geeked out about music in a while, so I've really enjoyed it. Thanks for having a chat.
Thank you so much for listening to the Musician Secrets podcast. You've officially made it to the end. I hope you got to learn something new. If you did, feel free to share this with someone who could benefit from this as well. I'd love to hear from you and answer as many questions of yours as possible. You can do that by joining my email list at alisekoa.com/connect. You can tell me your thoughts, questions, and progresses you've made, and I'll keep you updated on the podcast and my upcoming projects. Does that sound fair? Awesome. Then sign up down below. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.